396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
We made it to Friday. Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. Mia O'Brien still on vacation. She'll return next week. We've got U.S. Open golf that we're watching, which at one point your boy, Taylor, Victor Hovland, had gotten to 4 under, but then he fell back a little bit.
I missed all of that. I just looked up. I was like, oh, Victor.
Yeah, at one point today, he was playing one heck of a round of golf. I don't know if he double bogeyed. I wasn't able to watch live, but I did see his score at one point, like I said, was 4 under, and he was tied with JJ Spawn, who has not yet teed off. But alas, now he's 2 under, along with Siwoo Kim, and then you've got Sam Burns and Thriston Lawrence, both at 3 under. JJ Spawn will tee off a little before 1 o'clock today. Again, the runner-up of the Players' Championship. But you want to talk some Jaguars football?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. All right, so we have our confidence level in each of the Jaguars position groups. We have 12. We are leaving out, I'm sorry, Logan Cook.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ross Matzik.
I'll just say you win.
And I'm sorry, Kim Little. We are leaving out special teams for today. Yes, they would be certainly near the top, if not the number one position group. So no special teams for today, but we will go every position group on offense and every position group on defense. Put them all together. You've got 12 position groups, and we will rank them as far as our confidence level. Let's start with number 1. Yep. My gut tells me that both of us have.
In this.
Yep, I think our number 1 is identical. I have Edge at number 1.
Yeah, and it makes me so happy to write that because I do think that we've always, with Josh Hines-Allen and with Trayvon Walker, we've had those conversations of they are 2 of the better pass rushers in the entire NFL. So that group's always kind of been there, at least the last couple years with both of them. But it's always had questions beyond that of how many other guys can really get to the quarterback outside of them. Do you even have guys you can put out there in certain times? And there's been moments there hasn't really been anybody. And so I do think now that the confidence level spikes, not only because I think Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker are incredible and going to continue to get better, especially in this defensive scheme with Coach Camp, but I also think that adding those depth pieces, that gives them some breaks when they need to be breaks, and you feel like you can still get a consistent pass rush out of the guys behind them. That, to me, upped this completely where there wasn't a question that Edge was number 1 for me.
Yeah, I probably would have had Edge even if they hadn't added Emmanuel Ogbah and Dwan Smoot at number 1. And certainly Jalen McLeod is an interesting case study because I thought he would be in the edge group when they were practicing in individual drills, and I've seen him more with linebackers.
Yeah.
But maybe one day he puts on weight, maybe he becomes an edge in this game. We shall see. But even if they hadn't added Ogbah and Smoot, I still think that this would be my number 1 group because not only have we seen, to your point, what Josh Hines-Allen at one point having a 17.5 sack season, and then Dwan Smoot the last 2 years over double-digit sacks. Not only that, but they look to me for this year probably the best I've ever seen them. And I understand that that's so far just in shorts. They're not in pads. I get that. But I remember thinking when training camp was at Episcopal High School, like, wow, these 2 are unbelievable. They're in such unbelievable shape. And they're that, but also Trayvon has added to his pass rush specialties, right? Like he's learned some of those techniques that he didn't necessarily come into the league with. And so I think the sky's the limit for them. Plus I love defensive coordinator Coach Campanile. I think the addition of him, his energy, his defensive scheme is going to elevate these guys too. So yeah, both of us have Edge number 1. I'm pretty sure that if you were to poll most Jaguars fans, Edge would also be number 1. Let's see if we match at number 2. You can probably guess where I'm going at number 2, and that is the position group that I constantly talk about, rave about. I've been doing that ever since the Jaguars drafted Brian Thomas Jr. I advocated for him to be drafted once upon a time. Now you add De'Ami Brown with his speed, also some of the intermediate throws we've already seen Trevor Lawrence complete to De'Ami in practices so far. Oh, and by the way, you add Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner. And I think also you still have Parker Washington. And then there are other guys behind Parker as well that I think are going to see some playing time, not maybe significant playing time, but I've seen some other guys on the practice field make some good catches. So I've got wide receiver number 2.
Yes, I actually do have wide receiver
right.
as number 2 also.
2.
And I think to me the biggest thing is obviously Brian Thomas Jr. You have what is, in my opinion, going to be one of the top receivers in the league. And so that automatically ups everything when you have one of those guys that can compete with any of the best. And I think that even when you look league wide and you look at the teams that have that true, a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, when you have even at moments like Dallas, I feel like always had so many weapons, but you were still constantly talking about a guy like a CeeDee Lamb. And so when you have that guy that's just a game changer, it really does make the jobs of other people a little bit easier. And I think adding Travis Hunter makes that even better. I'm still waiting. I want to see the Brown situation. I still need to see that, I think, for like a season rather than just a little bit of a postseason. But I think that we've seen it with what Liam Cohen does. I think it's a perfect fit. So I'm confident in that relationship and what they can kind of scheme together. And I'm personally a big fan of Parker Washington because I think that late last season when you really needed him, he showed you what he could be in some very big and some bigger moments too. Not saying it was like that you had to win this game and good things were happening, but in game moments where you had to win this game, Parker needed this catch. He was able to do those things, and that's with a Mac Jones. And if we're going to go through and say Trevor Lawrence didn't have a good offensive line, neither did Mac Jones, and they were still able to do a lot of really good things late in the season. So I'm excited to see that with hopefully a better line, with Trevor Lawrence being healthy, with a Liam Cohen offense that's a little more intricate in some things and asking them to maybe do a little bit more. But in that, it's opening so many possibilities for, I think, the whole entire wide receiver room.
Did you see Pete Prisco's tweet this morning?
About Brian Thomas Jr.? Yeah.
So, Pete was at mandatory minicamp the last couple of days, got to hang out with Tony Baselli and James Gladstone up in their little balcony area yesterday. Pete was wearing like the brightest, like pink, peach, whatever color shirt. And I was thinking like,
he's so tan that it just like sticks out anyway.
But I feel like he wanted everyone to see that he was up there in that, in the rare air upstairs. But here's Prisco's tweet for those who didn't see it. Brian Thomas Jr. isn't getting the attention he deserves right now. He's bigger, stronger, and better than a year ago. He will be in the elite conversation this year with the best of the best. Bank on it. I don't think any of us who watched BTJ closely last year are surprised by those comments of a national writer who certainly pays very close attention to the Jaguars. There are other national people. A few weeks ago, I read part of Ben Solak's article about what his 100 things he was predicting with 100 days until the NFL season, and he certainly highlighted Brian Thomas Jr. You can look at any of those analytics that are out there, and BTJ is a guy that he wasn't, as we've talked about, he wasn't even targeted that much to start the season, but every time he was targeted, he pretty much made catches. We saw that starting in the preseason, and then we got to see a little bit of his personality early in the preseason too when he did the first down symbol. And look, we've talked about him being a little bit quieter. I think that he's coming out of his shell even more. And I did wonder about this. If you were to ask Brian Thomas Jr. about Travis Hunter's personality, like candidly, not in a media setting, and then on the opposite side, if you were to ask Tyson Campbell about Travis Hunter's personality, candidly, not in a media setting, do they love that juice that he brings, or are they both kind of like, dude, you're
relax,
a rookie, like take a chill pill, like
why are you like jumping around every 5 seconds,
right? Like, and how do you have this much energy and things like that? All right, number three.
I will say real quick because the one thing, obviously, I think that Brian Thomas Jr. deserves all of the attention that he's getting in any place, and especially that. I don't know if I'd say he's not. I think he's getting a lot of attention. Is why I think I disagree with Pete Prisco in that sense. Like when the NFL did a whole thing, Brian Thomas Jr.'s rookie season was a movie, and did a whole highlight reel of him yesterday. Every time I've looked up at ESPN multiple times this year, and they're talking about Brian Thomas Jr. Every chart that you're looking at the top 10 possible wide receivers of this year, Brian Thomas Jr. is almost on every single list. And so I do think he is starting to get that recognition of what he deserves, and I do. So I continue that. Like I hope people keep talking about that, and I do think that maybe the Travis Hunter drafting took a little bit of that light away for a little bit, but then I think people are going back and now they're seeing these highlight reels and they're like, wow, he was really good.
I think it probably comes from Pete's bosses at CBS Sports being like, hey, tell us more about Travis Hunter. Yeah. And Pete joined the Frangie show yesterday, normally does on Fridays, but he did yesterday, as always brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. And he said he loves Travis Hunter as a corner, being able to watch him play both ways yesterday in person. And again, that's something that's going to be fascinating to see how they do. By the way, speaking of Showtime, Taylor, I need to mention this to you. Mark your calendar for Tuesday, July 15th, because Jarian Jones will be signing autographs at Showtime. So make sure you get your advance tickets or you can just show up the day of. Again, that's Tuesday, July 15th. All right, number 3, who you got?
I have linebackers for mine. I think, and honestly, the list
we disagree.
The list was harder to make than I thought it was going to make. When we first started talking about this, I thought I was going to be able to fly through them and be like, oh, this is what it is. I really had to, I think, even maybe overthink some things in some sense, and some of it is projections also. Some of it is
a lot
just
of projections.
A lot is projections. A lot for me is hesitant, like me being hesitant for certain position groups. But yeah, I just think that, again, when you're talking about having one of the better at a certain position, then you kind of have to mention that. So when you're talking about a Foye, he automatically is going to up that room a ton. I do think that we've talked a ton about Devin Lloyd and what to expect from him, and we know the struggles in coverage, but we see now kind of what all of the size issues that were happening with a lot of different players this last year, and I wonder how much that affected him in that area too, because obviously when you're bigger, you're slowing down a little bit, and that clearly showed with a lot of these guys. So I do think I'm hoping / expecting a little bit more from Devin. And there's other areas that Devin was really, really good at. And so I do think that with Coach Camp and being able to kind of centralize what they need him to do, I do think that will help in general. I was a big fan of Ventrell Miller last year, and I'm expecting another big leap from Ventrell. Chad Muma, to me, I've always been more hesitant on. And so we'll see kind of how that looks, especially with the new additions with Jack Kaiser, who obviously I'm a fan of, and McLeod. So I just think that I liked the additions. I like the pieces that were already there. You have one of the best linebackers in the NFL on your team too, and now he doesn't have to do so much as he did last year. So I'm expecting that linebacker group to kind of look how you expected them to look last year.
Okay, I'll tell you, I have linebacker at number 6, so a little bit farther down, and I think it's more because, yeah, you're expecting some things out of a guy like Devin Lloyd, who Liam Cohen singled out yesterday as far as being there every day, asking a ton of questions, and that's great to hear. But I've got linebacker at 6. My third position group, as far as ranking my confidence level, I have running back. And I think that's because there are 4 guys that have certainly each a different skill set. Mm-hmm. But I have been super impressed with Tank Bigsby. And again, pads aren't on yet. I get all that. And I've been very impressed with Bashal Tutin so far through the OTAs and through minicamp. Travis Etienne is a solid starting running back in this league. He had a rough season last year, yes, but Liam Cohen already put any rumors to bed about him being on a different team. So that means that they are going to, I think, rely on him a lot. And then you've got LaKent Allen, the other rookie, who I think will be on the field in third down situations. And so certain third down situations. I think each guy is a guy that other teams in the league would be interested in. Certainly receivers. Yeah. A lot of NFL teams would love to pluck some of these Jags receivers. Certainly Brian Thomas Jr. And Travis Hunter. But I think the running backs too. I think I understand why Jaguars fans are a little bit down on Travis Etienne, but I do think that if the offensive line is improved, we're going to see a lot more holes open, whether that is Etienne and depending on how they use him and Bigsby as well, or if that is Tutin. I still don't know. I think I said this yesterday. I still don't know who's going to be the featured back week in and week out. And when we get to the end of the season, who's going to have the most carries and who's going to have the most yards. I have a feeling that the running back with the most catches might be a guy like LaKent Allen. Yeah. But, certainly we'll have to see about that. But I think overall, these guys now have extra speed with the addition of Tutin. And I think that they have better blocking, too, as far as pass pro, whether that's Bigsby getting better, whether that's Tutin now, and certainly LaKent Allen is really good at that as well. So I think overall the running back group improved a lot because they certainly drafted 2 of them. But I think also I've seen improvement in as far as the conditioning for Tank Bigsby, and Travis Etienne's always in really good shape. All right, on the other side, we will get to position group number 4 as far as the ones we are most confident in when it comes to your Jacksonville Jaguars. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
I'm Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex wins the Coca-Cola 600.
And you're listening to 1010XL, Jack Sports Radio.
Lee and Kate's Glass, Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power
power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today. 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
June is Men's Health Month, and here's your reminder to be proactive and get screened for early detection at Ackerman Cancer Center. Many cancer instances are largely preventable and treatable. So take steps now to minimize your risk factors at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
This is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about being a godly example. Every day, we're setting an example in our words and actions. And many times, we can act one way in one setting and then totally different in another setting. My encouragement for you is to not send out mixed messages. God is depending on you to set the example in people's lives. You don't know, but you may be the only Bible that someone ever sees today.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
I'm Hacker, and I'll get you more Gator Chomps during the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. New episodes drop every Friday. Get Gator Bites where you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash, and they're ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. And gold market prices are at a record high. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
After I came home from Iraq, I could still hear the booms. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
Thanks to DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Summer in Jacksonville is coming in hot. Lauren Brooks here. Beat the heat with Turbo Tint. Their window tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays and keeps your ride cool and comfortable. Book today at orangepark.turbotint.com.
Hacker here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Look, the summer has arrived. Memorial Day is in the rearview mirror. It's vacation season for me. And over the next couple of weeks, whether it's a cruise, going out to Las Vegas, I'm going to bust out the tank tops, man. I'm going to show off the bod a little bit. Now, would I have done that 100 pounds ago? Of course not. But thanks to the great folks at Awaken 180 Weight Loss, I really have a new lease on life. It's life changing. I'm in the maintenance program now, doing really well, right? The weight is not coming back on. That's almost as rewarding, if not a little more rewarding. It's one thing to lose the weight. It's something else to keep it off. I've been able to do that with the great folks of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. If it's time in your life to make that change like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road.
If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Smooth like butter, like a criminal undercover.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien on vacation until next week. We have begun our confidence level rankings for each position group for your Jacksonville Jaguars. So far, both Taylor and I have edge at 1, wide receiver at 2. Taylor has linebacker at 3, while I have running back at 3. Taylor, my number 4 is not going to surprise you because you know me well, but certainly the texters that don't like Trevor Lawrence, they're not going to be very happy with me. I do have Trevor at 4, and the reason, there are several reasons, but I think he understands what is asked of him more now than he ever has before in this league. I think Liam Cohen, Grant Udinski, Spencer Whipple, the quarterback's coach, I think their level of communication with Trevor Lawrence and what he needs to improve upon goes far beyond what we've seen in the past. And I think there was a disconnect between Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, and Trevor Lawrence. And I don't begin to know why. You have to have a really good relationship with your quarterback in order for that to succeed. But it just felt like by the time all was said and done, Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence didn't seem to be on the same page. And we certainly talked about it a lot last offseason when we didn't know who was calling the plays for a brief period of time, which in the end, I'll still say it was always Press Taylor that was calling the plays.
I think I had like 6 different Taylor's tangents on that topic.
Most likely. But yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence knows he needed to work on his footwork, and he did that. I think he understands that he has things to learn about the situational football awareness that we've discussed. And I think just overall, like knowing the playbook, being able to be vocal, like I think he's more comfortable in all of those things too. And then, oh, by the way, I think Liam Cohen's offense, like we talked about with the receivers, and I think with the running backs too, is going to transform him into the quarterback. Not necessarily, I don't want to always go back to 2022 because that was more of a one-off, but I think we'll finally see Trevor Lawrence be more like these upper echelon type quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not saying he's going to have a better season than Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that. But can he have a year like a Baker Mayfield? Can he have a year that's better than a Justin Herbert? Things like that. Those are my expectations. You hate to put wins and losses on a quarterback. You hate to even put touchdowns and interceptions because sometimes the interceptions aren't his fault, and also sometimes the touchdowns they
are
get
not
lucky
on him.
But I think it'll
when BTJ runs an extra 25 yards to get the touchdown. That's not quite on Trevor.
Absolutely, but yeah, certainly it all goes in there, and it's more of an eye test, right? Watching quarterbacks week in and week out, every single snap and every single throw that they make, every decision that they make, and that's what we do certainly with Trevor Lawrence. And so he's under the microscope a lot, but I do think he'll have one of his best years yet.
Yeah, my 4 is running back, so we're not far off on that. I'm a big fan of Travis Etienne. And when you talked about the pass catching side, I personally think they're going to use him a ton in that area. When you go back the 2023 season, he had over 400 receiving yards that year. His last year at Clemson with Trevor, he had almost 600 receiving yards. He can do that, and that honestly to me has been one of the biggest like mind-boggling things of why they haven't used him more in that world, because he's a really good perimeter guy. He can catch the ball, and to me the issues we've seen when it comes to fumbling are more of those like close hit type of things that we've seen, or honestly the handoffs behind the line of scrimmage. We've seen him and Trevor kind of literally fumble some of those things. But I do think I love him. I love Tank that we've seen. I think that Tank and Bashal, the conversation is going to be those fumbles. Can they pretty much eliminate those, because those are game-changing moments if you're somebody that's going to lose the ball. And we've talked about Bashal Tootin had 9 in college. That's not a number you like to see. Tank, we saw get better last year, but there were still a couple moments where you don't want to see him lose the ball when he did.
Some people would say the season went off the rails when Etienne fumbled against the Dolphins.
Yes, in that moment. Yeah, and that was very early in the season.
Yeah, week 1.
Yeah, so I still have a lot of confidence in the run game, and I do think that, again, I'm going to keep saying this word, as in hopefully better offensive line. And then the way that Liam Cohen uses the running backs, I think will be very beneficial. But I just have the confidence in general that having a competent play caller will help you use the running backs properly.
Wow, a competent play caller on offense and a competent play caller on defense. We've already had one for special teams. My, oh my, how things would change. All right, my number 5, and this is the last one we'll get to because we're going to bring in a guest on the other side, James Roy, to talk Texans as we continue our AFC South tour post minicamp. I've got cornerback at 5, and I think that's mainly because I love the offseason that Tyson Campbell has had, and he's received a lot of praise from this coaching staff as well. I think Jarian Jones is a guy that played really well at times at nickel last year. I think he can be an outside corner. I hope he can be an outside corner because I think he's getting that opportunity. And then certainly you bring in Jordan Lewis, who is one of the best probably nickel corners in all of the league. He was the highest paid when the Jaguars signed him. So he should be, right, coming from the Cowboys. And I like his veteran presence and his leadership. And I've seen him make plays out there, whether it was OTAs or minicamp. And oh, by the way, then you have a guy like Buster Brown, who's also competing for that outside spot, who's made a lot of plays this year. And you have Travis Hunter, who I don't know, like we've talked about exactly when he's going to be the corner opposite Tyson outside of those situational downs, but it could be that he sees more work as the season goes along, certainly getting more snaps outside. And so you have Tyson Campbell, you have Travis Hunter, you have Jordan Lewis. I think that's a great combination. And if it is Jarian, not Travis outside, I think that can work too. I think he's a guy that believes certainly in himself. Jarian, we've always said he is a vocal guy. He is not afraid to trash talk, which is so much fun. So I really like the cornerback room and what they've done.
Yeah, we're very similar in most of these. Mine, I have quarterback here as my number 5. Okay. I think that, and the reason for that is
not cornerback.
Quarterback. And the reason for that is the rest of the position groups for me, I do have a little bit of questions of who should be starting, where will they be starting, the confidence level of certain players improving and things like that. And I think for Trevor, I think that is still part of this conversation. How much does Trevor get the mentals right this season, and how much can Liam Cohen, the mechanical stuff that they've changed, the line of scrimmage, the pre-snap stuff, all of those things that we talked a lot about yesterday, how much do those improve? Because I think those are going to be significant to how everything kind of plays out this season. But I at this point, I have that, and this is obviously right in the middle of the pack for me. So that mid-range level of confidence, I've always been a little I don't want to say always, because very early on in Trevor's career, I was very much like, he's incredible, it's everything else. And then I feel like I've had to make so many excuses that I've started to back up a little bit, but I haven't lost everything like some people have. I think it's there. You see it. You see everything that you need to see out of a quarterback when you watch him. I just have to see it consistently. I have to see a full game of it for me to believe that's who he is, and not that he's one of the guys that you have spurts of good, really good, and then you're kind of mediocre the rest of the time. And to me, that's going to take a season of, and not every quarterback's going to play full 4 quarters every single game. Fantastic. But I need to see some of those. And I just feel like I haven't really since 2022.
I was glad to hear Trevor say yesterday he's working on using his eyes as a weapon. And for people who don't really know what that means, when a quarterback can look off a safety, that opens up a lot of the field. And so if you can trick pretty much the defense into thinking you're going one place with the football, but you in fact go somewhere completely different, then that or going through your progressions quickly enough that they don't know where you're going with the football. Those are all things that I think he knows he needs to improve upon. Yeah. And you can't work on those.
That's one of the Patrick Mahomes specialties.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows where he's going with it. Even with Travis Kelce wide open in the middle of the field, you don't know.
And he does no-look passes too, which I would love for Trevor to get to that point. But yeah, I think that's huge, and certainly that will benefit the offense greatly. All right, like I said, we will chat with James Roy and talk a little Texans football on the other side. Also, a U.S. Open update awaits you. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels. Opened up by Lee and Kate's Glass. This U.S. Open update on 1010XL is brought to you by TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 125th U.S. Open Golf Championship, sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. Sam Burns is making a run at Oakmont Country Club. 6 birdies in his first 14 holes, and that gets him to 3 under. Victor Hovland is 3 under as well, an eagle and 5 birdies today. Both players started on the back, which today is playing 3 shots easier than the front. The overnight leader, J.J. Spawn, tees off at 12:52 Eastern Time on the front 9. He's 4 under. Tristan Lawrence of South Africa is behind him at 3 under and tees off at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time on number 10. And by the way, a note on Burns, 11 birdies over the first 2 days at a tough Oakmont Country Club. With this U.S. Open report, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
The Jeep brand has always stood for American freedom.
And now we're standing with you with Employee Pricing Plus. Hurry into your Jeep brand dealer for details today and join the family. Jeep, there's only one. Offer valid on select 2024 and 2025 Jeep brand vehicles for non-FCA employees and retirees. $200 admin fee applies. Not all buyers will qualify. Restrictions apply. Does not apply to leases. Ends 6/30/25. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. You've heard all about my custom bedroom closet, but how about a custom garage workspace for Dad this Father's Day? Think tool storage, workbenches, flooring, and a space to call his own. Closets by Design creates custom solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget. And yes, that includes Dad's. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. Visit closetsbydesign.com.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head on. Throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your cool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Jeff Prosser here for Lloyd's Heating and Air. Need a leader for commercial, retail, multifamily, or hospitality projects? Or top-tier residential service? No gimmicks, no mascots, just real expertise and hard work. As your trusted statewide mechanical partner and local family-owned team, Lloyd's is the name Northeast Florida counts on. Visit Lloyd'sHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air, keeping you comfortable in every season.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Summer and fall registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. Fields and gyms all over the First Coast. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find something to do. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 13th, 1989, the Bad Boys Detroit Pistons swept the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1989 NBA Finals, marking the Pistons' first NBA championship.
Grow your hair back. IHRS offers the latest technology in hair transplants and restorative treatments.
Fast, easy, and effective.
With over 35 years' experience, our team is committed to delivering exceptional results. Hair restoration is for us, and it can be for you too.
See how IHRS technology can grow your hair back. Go to hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS, 777-4477 for $250 off.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and it's always great when you can replace a problem with a promise. And let me get right down to it. When it comes to Chad and Sandy and selling your home, here's a promise that you can count on. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No, more. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down. Activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though, and hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize hassle is the key. Those expert agents, and I'm recommending them to sell your home, Chad and Sandy Newman. There have been lots of you out there on the First Coast who are taking advantage. Take David and Heather in Fox Ridge. This is out in Orange Park. We wanted to move to Keystone Heights to get closer to family, away from the city. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. What you hear is true. We got multiple offers and sold in 3 days for $15,000 above asking price. Call the local experts I trust and recommend to sell my home and yours. Call Chad and Sandy, 414-6200, ChadAndSandy.com.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Hey, Hickett here for my friends at Zero Res. Gang, vacuuming is not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and lifespan of your carpet, period. Do not, let me repeat, do not leave deep cleaning to yourself, but do-it-yourself dirt-attracting carpet soaking machines. No, no, no. Call on the cleaning freaks from Zero Res. Big summer savings. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. Take 20% off air duct cleaning as well. Call them, 904-287-5727, and ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Time to continue on our look at the AFC South as camps have now wrapped up and they get a little bit of a vacation now. We're joined by James Roy, host of The Bullpen, a Houston Texans podcast, to talk some Texans. James, thanks for hopping on with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's start. There's a lot of storylines, I think, within the AFC South in general, and especially over there in Houston. A few former Jaguars playing over there. Obviously, some quarterback stuff this offseason. But let's start with that because it does look like if you take a look around the AFC South this last few weeks, the QB freakouts were all over the place. Started with Stroud, general soreness. Went to Trevor Lawrence, general soreness. Richardson actually dealing with an injury. So let's just hear a little bit, an update on Stroud, how that looked once he did start throwing this last week.
Once Stroud started throwing, I mean, it made everyone look a little silly for being concerned about that. I mean, all of the reports from any reputable reporter stated that it was not a concern. D'Amico, if you're translating coach speak, didn't really give any indication that it was any more serious. So nothing to be concerned about there. It kind of feels like the Colts are projecting at this point with Anthony Richardson's shoulder issues.
Yeah, certainly AR has dealt with his fair share, and we haven't really seen Stroud have to deal with that much. All right, let's get into the guys he's throwing the football to. Certainly former Jaguars receiver Christian Kirk is there. What has that receiving core looked like?
It's looked good. The biggest bright spot has been Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins is, I think, more than a lot of Texans fans could have expected with the 34th pick. Not a guy that was, I think, on a lot of fans' radars. All the experts and analysts, once the pick was made, were praising it, along with pairing him with Jalen Knoll, who has not seen a lot of practice. Sorry, one second. But overall, the receiving core looks really good. It's awkward seeing Christian Kirk in 13. That's the number that Tank Dell wore before he switched to 3, so it's got me missing out on that. But I think the Texans have done a good job of replacing the loss of Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell.
Yeah, I honestly was a little upset coming from over here in Jacksonville when they got Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, because those are two wide receivers that I talked about a good amount pre-draft. And so when both of them landed there, you don't really want to see a division rival getting those. But it will be interesting how they do replace Tank Dell, James, because I think that's going to be one of the bigger questions. Because you saw last year with that Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and what C.J. Stroud could do with both of them. Are the expectations with that Jaden Higgins coming in and kind of being that replacement until Tank is back?
I've seen comparisons between Jaden Higgins and Nico Collins. On the fringe of things, some people have compared him to DeAndre Hopkins. I think in training camp he's shown his work at moving around and getting to the ball when it's thrown to him, I think kind of draws that comparison a little bit. But I think Jaden Higgins is more expected to act in a similar role to Nico Collins. I would say that Noel and Kirk are kind of expected to work as, Kirk as mentor and Jalen Noel eventually helping out in that role. There's also guys like John Mechie and Braxton Berrios who both would appear to be fighting for a roster spot, playing more in that slot area. But yeah, I think that it'll be tough, but the Texans have done a good job of fortifying that room to be able to at least make up for the loss of Tank Dome.
James Roy with us talking all things Texans. All right, I feel like most of the time if a team fires an offensive coordinator, that team is not then expected to win the division just going away. And I kind of feel like whether it's within the Texans organization or outside of Houston, it feels like most people just assume the Texans are winning the AFC South. How is Nick Caley doing as the new OC? And also, is that the mentality that the Texans have, is that the division is theirs?
I think that's the mentality that's carried forward. I think what is expected is there to be a step forward. It's nice to go 10-7 and win the AFC South twice, but it kind of felt like there was no progression from Stroud's rookie season, D'Amico Ryan's rookie season, and that's one of the reasons it was honestly really refreshing to see D'Amico step into this. There was this thought that D'Amico was prioritizing relationships and who he liked on a team, who he's brought in, and there was some moves that were made, getting rid of Bobby Slowick, moving on from Shaq Mason, moving on from Kenyon Green, that kind of opened the door to this thought that they're locking in to win now. So I think the reason the offense didn't perform well last year could mostly be attributed to scheme, even though a lot of people will say it was offensive line play. So I think that the change in scheme could improve that. And with serviceable offensive line play, the Texans will improve is what I would say to that.
Let's continue on with that a little bit because the offensive line, it's been a big conversation here too, James, of, how it's really hard to fully evaluate your quarterback when you feel like schematically things aren't going right and when your offensive line isn't protecting. And we saw CJ Stroud really get worked from pretty much start to finish this last year. So far through camp, the little bits that you see, we know it's a little hard too. There's not pads on during this period of time. But what is the confidence level that that offensive line has taken a step up to be able to protect him a little bit better?
I think that as much as people knock moving on from Laramie Tunsil, I am of the thought process that while scheme was mostly the problem with the Texans' offensive line and the offense in general, moving on from Laramie Tunsil opens the door for new leadership within that group. Sometimes when you're really good at something, you're thrust into leadership, even though it may not be your strong suit. And a lot of players on the Texans roster followed Laramie Tunsil's example and viewed him as a leader. I think that one of the attributes that will improve this offensive line is looking towards a different leader. Early candidate emerging is Titus Howard. He has expressed in interviews with Aaron Wilson that he's ready to step into that role. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as on the field goes, you kind of alluded to it. I'm not really putting a lot of stock in what's happening when the pads aren't on. The offensive line in the NFL with pads on is already so handicapped relative to other positions. So to judge them based off what's happening with no pads is not really worthwhile, in my opinion.
Yeah, we always say basically we're out there to watch the playmakers, the quarterback, the wide receivers, and the corners. And other than that, you can't really, and maybe the safeties, but you really can't tell with those trenches. All right, let's get it to the running back situation. You've got Joe Mixon, who went for over 1,000 yards again last year. And then the Texans just added Nick Chubb. What do you make of that running back room?
It's insurance. I mean, at best, so Nick Chubb, minimum $2.5 million deal, ceiling with incentives $5 million. This is a deal that makes a lot of sense for the Texans. It makes a lot of sense for Nick Chubb. Chubb wants to be on a contender. The Texans are clearly that. It gives him an opportunity to not be expected to be the guy immediately. But if Mixon was to go out, Nick Chubb could step into that role given time. I like the room. I think that the Texans have a tough decision to make in terms of depth. Dameon Pierce has shown well in 2022, but do they keep him? Do they keep Dario Gumbawale? There's going to be some tough decisions in that room, but as it stands, it's a really good running back room.
another addition this offseason. You guys added another bully in C.J. Gardner-Johnson to go along with Azeez Al-Shaair. But when you talk about that secondary, a couple of drafted pieces also with Jalen Reed and a Jalen Smith, a lot of Jalen's on this team. But what are the thoughts about the secondary in general, and especially that addition of C.J. Gardner-Johnson?
I think that's one of the missing pieces, safety depth. Jalen Petrie stepping into the star safety role, a term coined by Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, the answer to hurry-up spread offense and being able to have the versatility to play against most offenses with the personnel on the field. But with the vitality of Jalen Petrie to this Texans defense, having depth that can step into that role, having depth that the other parts of the secondary was the issue when Jalen Petrie inevitably got hurt. He was being asked to do a lot. So Gardner-Johnson's a great pickup. It's a shame what happened with Jimmy Ward yesterday. Still waiting to see more about that. Not really trying to speak too much to it, but I like the additions. And, I mean, we need to keep up with y'all with, y'all, was it Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah.
That was a prospect I really wanted the Texans to go after last year, and he lived up to the hype that I had for him. So, and then y'all added Travis Hunter, so gotta stay sharp. But this is one of the best secondaries in the league, I think.
The first 5 games at the Rams, home against the Bucks, here in Jacksonville, home against the Titans, and then at the Ravens. You could put the Titans game to the side probably, but I feel like that's a tough way to start.
I think the Ravens is tough and the Rams are tough. I think the Texans can come out of that one with a winning record. In general, when I predict the Texans record, I usually split the division. You have to remind me, is that the Jaguars game, is it in Houston or is it?
That's the one here.
That's there. So I suspect the Texans win that. I think y'all generally perform better in Houston, and the Texans generally perform better in Jacksonville in recent history. So I think they'll do well in that first 5-game stretch.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the Jaguars at home haven't been very good the last couple years, and then they'll hit the road and beat some teams they probably shouldn't beat. But James Roy, host of the Bullpen Houston Texans podcast, we really appreciate your time. And I know most of the people we talk to outside of the division all kind of say this division seems like it's up for grabs. It's just a lot of what these quarterbacks do. So it'll be fascinating to follow along. But thank you again, and I hope you have a good weekend.
All right, thanks for having me on, and you have a good weekend as well.
Thank you.
All right, there he goes. Yeah, C.J. Stroud, like you said, no need to panic. Certainly, when he wasn't throwing, I can understand where the alarm bells were going off, but he is throwing now. And look, I do think they have a really talented pass-catching group. And adding Christian Kirk to those other guys, like not Tank Dell, obviously, for this season, but a Nico Collins, and then those two, like you said, I literally made the Texans my pest of the day after the draft because I was annoyed that they got both Higgins and Knoll. And so I don't necessarily love their tight ends, but I do like their receivers. And like he said, their running back room, now adding the insurance of Nick Chubb, is pretty good. So, that's
going to be an interesting one, too, like how healthy and ready to go, and how much we've seen Nick Chubb already come back from this exact injury and look just as good. But now this is another time of the exact same thing. I mean, it's really sad actually to watch I remember the moment watching that game, and when Nick Chubb went down, I was like, oh,
we were in Vegas.
Oh gosh, it was awful, and you could just tell it was one of those.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking of Tank Dell. That's when we were in Vegas.
Tank Dell, yeah, Nick Chubb. My stomach dropped because immediately you could tell it was a bad one. You also knew he already had that injury, and it was the same thing. He shredded every single CL that's in his leg,
all those ligaments,
all of them. And so it will be fascinating to see if he can make those cuts and do some of the things he did before, because when Nick Chubb is 100%, he's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Derek Stingley Jr., one of their best corners, will go up against, we assume, Brian Thomas Jr. But if Travis Hunter is playing receiver, who on the Texans is going to try and cover him? Who's going to try and cover De'Ami Brown? That's why they, of course, added C.J. Gardner-Johnson as a safety. But I still don't know that their other corners, Kamari Lassiter is good, but I just don't know.
He looked really good last year, actually.
He did. I just don't know if he can be as good as a Derek Stingley Jr. when it comes to covering those number one wide receivers. All right, let's get through one more position group so that way we've gotten through half of ours as far as the Jaguars and our confidence level for each of these. I will give you my number 6, and I already told you it is linebacker. I like the addition of Jack Kaiser through the draft. Certainly, Foye Oluokun, I think, is one of the best linebackers in all of the country. I still have questions if Ventrell Miller can stay healthy. Love when he's on the field. Love the energy that he brings. He's a great tackler.
Yeah.
But Devin Lloyd, we still have to be able to see it. I think he's certainly in way better shape than last year. But there's still nuances of the game that I'm not sure to this point if he's been able to figure out. And so I need to see that before I put my full confidence. And Chad Muma, I'm not sure outside of maybe some special teams exactly where his role is going to be. But I like, obviously, when Foye's on the field, I like the combination around him and certainly what it can be with his level of communication.
Yeah, my number 6 is cornerback. Everybody already knows I'm very high on Jarian Jones, but I think my hesitation comes more from we don't knows. We haven't seen Jarian play the outside at this next level. Jordan Lewis being new here. Jordan Lewis had an incredible season last year. Before that, it was all right. There was a lot of all right seasons previous to last year. So do you get that Jordan Lewis from last year? Or if you get the previous ones, you're getting a decent player, but not a great player? I think that Tyson Campbell has to stay healthy. And so I do think there's some question marks for me surrounding, and we also don't even know what exactly. Is it Jarian? Is it Buster Brown? We've had a lot of conversations of that. And I'm very, very high on some of these guys. I just think I need to see it all play through and stay healthy.
Yeah, for sure. The health is going to be a huge piece for that, for the secondary in general, but especially those corners. By the way, I looked up Kamari Lassiter's combine 40 time. I thought it was a little slower, and it was a 4.64, but when he ran it again at Georgia, it was a 4.5.
Yeah.
But still, if you're talking about 4.5 speed, trying to cover 4.32 or 4.33 speed, that is when it becomes
He did fine last
a little
year
more
covering some fast receivers. So I wouldn't like game speed. I do think is a little bit different. We'll run down real quick our 6 before we hit break so people know, because we are breaking down our position groups, our confidence level from most to least throughout, at least from what we know now. There's still a lot of things that we have to see, but mine so far: edge, wide receiver, linebacker, running back, quarterback, cornerback.
And we both had edge, receiver 1 and 2, and then I have running back, quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and I suppose what's behind him, but mainly Trevor Lawrence. Cornerback is my number 5, and linebacker is my 6. So now we will be going back down into the least confident, but on the other side, we're going to talk some Titans football and finish our tour of the AFC South post-mandatory mini camps throughout the NFL. We will chat with Nick Suss, the Titans beat reporter for the Tennessean. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
Lee and Kate's Glass.
Friday on Helmets and Heels.
This U.S. Open update on 1010XL is brought to you by TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 125th U.S. Open Golf Championship, sponsored by Kohl's. Make the most of summer with stylish looks from Kohl's and Kohl's.com, where families come first. Overnight leader J.J. Spawn begins his second round 6 minutes from now. 4 under is the number, and nobody in the morning wave has reached it as yet. Sam Burns has made 6 birdies today, 3 under for the tournament. Victor Hovland also 3 under for the week with an eagle and 5 birdies today. Among the notables going off in the afternoon wave, Xander Schauffele tees it up at 1:14 p.m. Eastern. He is +2. At the very same time, defending champion Bryson DeChambeau tees off at number 10. DeChambeau 3 over for the week. With this U.S. Open report, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
If there's one thing we know about dads, it's that they're not easy to shop for. Enter Kohl's. They've got everything from Nike golf gear to his favorite Levi's jeans. And you can save 20% on other finds like Flex Athleisure and Izod workwear. So if you're not sure what to get Dad for Father's Day, you know where to go. Shop Kohl's now. Select styles. Offer ends June 15th. Some exclusions apply. Coupons do not apply to Nike and Levi's. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item. Current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
Need the right tools for the job without the full-time price tag? Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach is what you need when you need it. From heavy machinery for commercial projects to weekend projects at the house, we've got you covered. We've been serving Jacks for 50 years. Visit Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach, just behind Aqua East Surf Shop, or call today. We also have event rentals too. Tucker Equipment Rentals. Tools you need without the price tag of purchasing.
Ready to add some value to your day? The everyday deals at Sonny's have got you covered. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, all you can eat ribs for $19.99, and our new loaded barbecue potato for $11. Available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
First Coast, I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
It's the event everyone waits for. Now at Beard's Diamonds. Buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. Now for a limited time, when you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Save up to $10,000. Are you about to get married or been married for years thinking it's time for an upgrade? There's nothing that symbolizes your love more than the wedding band. Beard's has hundreds and hundreds of bands from top designers in white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, titanium, platinum, plain bands, channel set bands, pave set, eternity bands. And for men, masculine bands, wide, modern, with and without diamonds, hammered, brushed, engraved, lots of colors. Come to Beard's now and find the wedding band that reflects your style and your personality. Buy one, get the second one free. The big box corporate jewelry stores can't or won't do this, but Beard's can. And it's happening now through June 23rd. Buy one wedding band, get the second one free. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate your eternal love with the eternal symbol. Beard's Diamonds at St. John's Town Center.
Pickett here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pickett here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Leon Searcy here. There's a little bit less of the big fella right now, thanks to physician-guided weight loss. I'm down 15 pounds in just 2 months. Already feeling better than I have in years. And with no side effects using that GLP-1 prescription. Gotta admit, it's pretty easy. And right now, you can get the first month at just $90 with a visit, the meds, and the 3D body scan. Don't wait to bring sexy back. Get started now with physician-guided weight loss at pgweightloss.com.
As a Florida homeowner, you're no stranger to mosquito problems. And although it's tempting to use DIY methods to get rid of them, mosquitoes are relentless. That's why it's important to enlist the help of the mosquito experts at Florida Pest Control. At Florida Pest Control, we offer specialized treatment solutions that are effective against mosquito infestations and are committed to keeping our customers protected year-round. For your free quote, give us a call or visit flapest.com today. Florida Pest Control, your local mosquito control experts.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp ad nauseum. We've talked about how the offense is going to benefit that of players such as Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., and Travis Hunter. But on the defensive side of the ball, Buster Brown joined Rick Ballou, and he spoke about how that scheme will benefit him.
Man, it just put me in different positions to make plays. One play I'm here, one play I'm there, and then chance to blitz, all type of things, so I'm excited.
Florida State men's basketball will host Georgia on December 2nd in the third annual ACC SEC Challenge. Marks the second time in the third edition of the challenge that the Seminoles will play the Bulldogs. Currently 87 degrees at 12:58. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien still on vacation. She'll return next week. We're going to talk Titans football now as we finish up our tour around the AFC South post-mandatory minicamp as Nick Suss joins us, Titans beat reporter for the Tennessean. Nick, happy Friday.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, have to start with the quarterback situation. I say situation. It's not really a situation. Cam Ward is going to be the week one starter, in my opinion. Will Levis will be his backup. Is that how you see it, and how's Cam Ward done so far?
Yeah, I was talking about this with somebody else this morning. It's very funny how that is the one thing from Titans camp that has kind of permeated nationally, is this misperception that there is a competition here. They were dividing reps, but they weren't competing throughout minicamp. Cam Ward is the guy who's getting 50+% of the reps. He's the guy who's learning how to be the starting quarterback, and he's the guy who's expected to be the starting quarterback. The only real question is whether Will Levis will make it to September as the backup, or if they try and trade him and keep one of the other veterans they have in Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle as the backup. Cam's looking good. His superpower, as a lot of people in Florida probably know, is the short memory and the lack of fear when it comes to making throws. So he's learning on the fly. There's some mistakes he's making that are the good kind of mistakes you want young quarterbacks to make, because he's testing the limits of what can his arm get away with against pro speed, what can his arm not get away with anymore, how is he processing. He's in standard time looking incredibly good. When the deck is stacked against him, and like a third down drill or a red zone passing drill, obviously it's a little tougher because when you don't have pads on and you can't run the ball and the defense knows what's coming, it's easier to win if you're the defense. But yeah, I mean, his first day of minicamp, he looked as good as I've seen a quarterback look this early in their career. And he's got the mentality, he's got the stuff that you like about a young quarterback. I'm not ready to anoint him anything more than a guy who's good enough to start quite yet, but if that's what he looks like a month and a half after being drafted, I think Titans fans have reasons to be pleased about that.
Nick, what has that dynamic looked like between him, and not only him and Will Levis, and kind of Will Levis probably realizing some things very quickly of what may be happening there in Tennessee, but also the quarterback room in general, that offense, because we saw a lot of the offseason videos of him and Shedeur Sanders going back and forth, kind of crap-talking each other, and that type of stuff is fun, and you like to see that, and it seems like that's Cam Ward's personality. Have you guys already seen that out there kind of shining through at camp?
Yeah, I mean, one of the really notable moments of these last couple of days is Cam and Jeffrey Simmons really jawing at each other, and it culminated in a couple of plays where Jeff is calling Cam a check down king and kind of goading him into trying to throw the ball downfield, and Cam is giving it to him back and drawing back, and then the next play he drops back and it's a 16-yard out route and kind of shuts up the defense for a little bit. And you have this funny moment where Brian Callahan is trying to figure out if he can get the play in while Cam is talking, if Cam can hear him while he's talking smack. And Cam said, "Yeah, I heard everything you said perfectly, and I called the play perfectly." Like I can do two things at once in this sense that I can hear you while I'm also telling somebody, because it's all in the fun for me. It's not personal. So that side of his personality is totally there. I was telling somebody this morning, one of my favorite moments just watching mini camp was a scramble he had on a third down. And obviously he's not live contact. Nobody's live contact in mini camp. So he's scrambling, and that means the play's dead. Nobody's going to come after him, but he still tries to juke somebody and then triple option laterals the ball to a running back behind him to try and pick up the first down when nobody was really trying to hit him. He just has these instincts to be competitive, be playful, be that quarterback with the gunslinger mentality. I think that's always going to be him, and that lack of fear is going to permeate the offense. He likes throwing over the middle. He likes taking risks. He says his confidence level's at a 10, and even if he comes out of a game that he threw 4 interceptions, his confidence level's still going to be at a 10. He's that kind of player. So we'll see how it translates. Obviously, you can say all this in June, but he's never taken an NFL snap yet, so we have to see how it functions once he gets out there. But for now, the early reports are dude has the makeup.
The Titans really overhauled that wide receiving core with obviously bringing in Van Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, and then drafting Alec Iomanner, drafting Chimere Dike, right. And then, of course, Xavier Restrepo, too, which for all those Canes fans who watched Cam Ward certainly are familiar with Restrepo's game, and they don't think he's nearly as slow as that time that he ran. But overall, what are those pass catchers looking like? Yeah,
it's a glib joke, but I think it's true. The Titans might have the most number 3 and number 4 wide receivers in the NFL. I'm not necessarily convinced they have a true number 2 right now, and I'm not positive how much that's going to matter. Calvin Ridley's going to be the number 1, and then you have this gaggle of guys. You mentioned Tyler Lockett. There's Van Jefferson. There's Iomanner. There's DK. There's Bryce Oliver, who's a guy who was kind of waiting in the wings last year, and kind of the forgotten cog in all of this is Treylon Burks, a former first-round pick. Is he going to be able to make the team and finally make a difference in year 4? There's a lot of options there. It's an overhauled room. They finally have some speed in this room. Last year it was kind of Ridley and then a bunch of more possession types. So having guys like DK and Iomanner and even Oliver, who can stretch the field alongside Ridley, there's some of that. And then you draft Gunnar Helm in the 4th round. That's a tight end who's going to help with the passing game too. And there's definitely a lot more for Cam to play with than Levis would have had last year. Now, is anybody in this group going to be counted on to go for more than 500 yards or so? I really don't know the answer. You have Ridley, who you should probably expect to go for between 1,000 and 1,200, but after that, you kind of have to grade success in the aggregate for this receiving core of if DK and Iomanner can combine for 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's a great year for these rookies. If one of them does it individually, that's the most gigantic surprise, pleasantly, this team has had in a long, long time. So it's rebuilt. It's just, you got Tyler Lockett, who has been on a downswing the last 2 years of his career. You have Van Jefferson, who hasn't really produced at a high level in 3 or 4 years. And then you got a bunch of unproven commodities. So it's hard to look like the Titans have this solidified number 2 option or anything. They just got a lot of 3s and 4s.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at the depth chart, and there's a lot of guys in that room that played college football in Florida, in the state of Florida. Yeah. So as I was going through, I was like, wow, another one. But let's talk a little bit about the offensive line. Last year, that O-line allowed 52 sacks, one of the higher end in the entire NFL. And so I know they added, obviously, the Detroit guard. I think he played center in Detroit a little bit, too, a little bit of versatility there. But then Cushenberry coming back from injury. I know he had an Achilles. And so tell a little bit about the expectations of that offensive line. I think Cushenberry alone being back kind of helps, but what have you guys seen, and the little bit that you can without pads there at camp?
Yeah, I mean, people in Jacksonville are probably aware of this, having the way the Jaguars have exposed this over the last 3 years, but there is a good argument to be made that the Titans' tackle spot has been the single weakest position in the NFL over the last 3 years. If you look at Andre Dillard and Dennis Daly and Nicholas Petit-Frere and some of the people who have been trotted out trying to play that position, it's been incredibly weak. So you go out and spend $80 million to bring in Dan Moore from Pittsburgh and make him your left tackle, and then you look at the stats and see Dan Moore allowed the most sacks in the NFL last year. So you have the question of, well, what's the underlying reason behind a sack? How much of it is related to the quarterback? How much of it is related to the offensive lineman? How much of it is related to the pass rusher? And so I am less concerned about this Titans offensive line than I have been in past years, because there's not a Dennis Daly, there's not an Andre Dillard, there's not a Nicholas Petit-Frere on this line that I think, oh, this is a totally unproven commodity, or, oh, this is somebody who has proven themselves to be not very good. You have 5 guys across the front who have either proven themselves, in the case of Zeitler, in the case of Cushenberry, and I think you could probably argue Peter Skoronski at this point, as these are solid guys. You have J.C. Latham at right tackle, a former first-round pick, who, yeah, this is a guy who struggled down the stretch last year. He hit a rookie wall. He gained some weight. He didn't play his best. But I still see him as a reason that he was picked in the top 10 kind of guy. And now he's moving back to a more natural position at right tackle, so we'll see if he can kind of be more of that consistent blocker. Early reports out of camp, again, no pads, but people were saying he was the best offensive lineman the Titans had this camp. And then there's Dan Moore, the big question of how good is this left tackle? He's been Pittsburgh's left tackle for 3 or 4 years now. He always stays healthy. He's a consistent player. His numbers have not been great from a sack prevention perspective, but he's also protected guys like Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett, who historically hold onto the ball for a really long time. So it's a complicated thing in this division where you're going against the Jaguars pass rushers twice a year, and you're going against those Houston pass rushers twice a year, and you got a Titan schedule this year where they also play Myles Garrett and the Browns and Max Crosby and the Raiders and Nick Bosa and the 49ers and all of these things. It's going to be tricky, but in theory, it can't be worse than it has been the last 3 years.
We say that around here all the time, and then somehow, some way, sometimes things get worse. But Nick, as far as big picture, what would define success this season for the Titans? I don't think it's a win-loss thing. My guess is it would be if Cam Ward looks like he's the franchise quarterback. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to ask, who are we defining success for? Because it definitely is a win-loss thing if you're the coaching staff. I think that the quick trigger that Titans ownership has had in the last 3 years with you fire John Robinson, you fire Mike Vrabel, you fire Rand Carthon in successive years, you're always going to have that back of your mind of, well, if the results don't match the expectation, are people going to get fired? So if Cam Ward looks like a franchise quarterback, but the Titans go 3-14, what happens there? Who are you grading success off of? I really don't know what the outcome is there, especially if there's a loss to Mike Vrabel and the Patriots in that situation, which could happen this year. I don't know. I think that it all hinges on Cam. All of the hope is on Cam's shoulders. I think that there are a lot of people within the building, coaches, front office personnel, that understand that this team is still 2 or 3 top-end players away. If we are being honest about the Tennessee Titans, there are maybe 3 players on this team that the average fan of the National Football League would be able to identify. The top-end talent just isn't there. And that's what happens when you whiff on your first-round pick in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 of the Isaiah Wilsons and Caleb Farleys and Traylon Burks come back to bite you when you're not developing internal talent. But if Cam Ward's good, like you're a team that has that in its back pocket, having that quarterback. And certainly people in Jacksonville know this. When you have the quarterback, you feel good about the team. When you don't know about the quarterback, you don't know about the team. If Cam's good, Cam's good. That's what this entire offseason's been built around. So if that works out, the Titans will at the very least head into 26 thinking, well, we got that sorted out.
Are the three Tyler Lockett, Tony Pollard, and Jeffrey Simmons, or a different three?
I was going to go with Ridley and Simmons and Cam Ward, but you can play whatever game. Tony Pollard's, from fantasy football perspective, a guy that a lot of people know.
Yeah, Nick, before we let you go, I do want to ask kind of the expectations of what this offense, what are you expecting Callahan to do? Do you think they will let Cam Ward just kind of unleash what he is? You used that gunslinger word earlier, or do you think they will rely on Pollard and Spears a little bit more early and ease Cam into it?
I don't think Cam wants to be eased in. We'll see how much of it is confidence, how much of it's hubris, and how much of it's just you don't know now what you don't know. But, I mean, Cam Ward's talking like a guy who wants to throw the ball 50 times, who doesn't want to use these weeks off in the offseason to do anything but, I don't know. If you guys saw the clips going around, I can't say the word on polite radio stations, but he wants to throw the something out of the ball this offseason. He wants to throw, and he wants to keep throwing. Tony Pollard's there, Tajay Spears is there. I expect them to run. If you look at what they've done on this offensive line with especially Skoronski, Zeitler, and Latham, they've got some really strong run blockers on this line, and it would be intuitive to think Tony Pollard is going to carry a big load. And look, Tony Pollard is beloved on this coaching staff for what he was able to do, shouldering so much of the burden last year. He's going to get his looks, he's going to get his opportunities, and he might well be the best player on this offense. So you're not going to not give him the ball. But you're also going to let Cam Ward learn. I've told people before, I think there tend to be two types of quarterbacks who are going to develop on the practice field and quarterbacks who are going to develop on the game field. I think Cam's a quarterback who develops on the game field. So I think they are best off Callahan letting him develop, letting him take his lumps, but also letting him prove to himself that he's as good as he thinks he is.
Yeah, that takes some patience from the fan base, but hopefully they can be a little patient for that.
We're talking about Titans and Jaguars fans. There's nothing but patience here, guys. I love this rivalry, but there is nothing but patience here.
Maybe one day it'll get back to what it once was. Well, Nick, we so appreciate your time. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all too.
There he goes, Nick Suss, Titans beat writer for the Tennesseans. So as we took that look around, I think as we've always discussed, the Texans have probably the best roster, and they certainly feel positioned to win this division. I think the Jaguars believe they're just on the other side of that. I mean, the team itself, of course, believes they can win the AFC South. But national perspective, the Jaguars are probably the second team of the division. And then third, fourth, fighting for last place, I would say, would be the Colts, because the quarterback situation is chaotic right now, unless you like Daniel Jones. And then the Titans, they believe in Cam Ward, but that roster isn't ideal for a rookie quarterback. So they've got a lot of work to do. Yeah,
they don't have a whole lot of help surrounding him, especially in the pass catching room. I personally like the running backs, and the offensive line I think will be better, but I don't know how much I love Van Jefferson and Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett, who's on the end of his career, being the guy that you need to help your rookie quarterback get better.
Yeah, I like the younger guys, honestly, better than the older guys.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing a lot more of them, at least later in the season. You're seeing more of them than you are some of the others. I saw the 33rd team posted a thing yesterday of like the 5 teams that are underrated right now, and they had the Colts on that list, and it was very interesting to me that because of the quarterback situation, I think their roster is good. I like the Colts roster, but I think the quarterback is too big of a question mark to put them in that category personally.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, I've got today's Terminix Pest of the Day. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010 XL and 92.5 FM.
From Pit Road to Victory Lane.
He'll bypass him on the back straightaway.
Sunday in Mexico City.
That should be all she wrote.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. From the station with the most horsepower. 1010 XL. It's a Helmets and Heels. Lee and Kate's Glass. Friday.
The joys of home ownership. Until the plumbing backs up, the AC goes out, or your septic system decides to act up. The good news? You don't have to call 3 different companies this summer when things go wrong. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. You've heard me say it, and I'll say it again. 2 summers ago, when my AC unit went twice, when my septic system corrupted, Duck Duck Rooter had my back. Go check out more 5-star reviews like mine on Google and give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local woman-owned solar company. Did you hear? JEA is raising rates again. With summer right around the corner, those power bills are only going to go up. But with solar, you can take control of energy costs and say goodbye to rising rates. At Clay Solar, we make switching easy and affordable. Stop paying more for power and own it. Visit claysolar.com to schedule a consultation today.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
This is Hayes Carlion for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. The online banking services are outstanding. So easy to use. Depositing checks through the mobile app is fast and efficient. I also go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
I-9 Sports is geared up for fun for kids all over the First Coast with summer and fall registration now open. Kids ages 3 to 17 can get in the gym or on the field with I-9 Sports, covering Clay, Duval, St. John's, and I-9 has all-girls flag football at Oakleaf, UNF, Fletcher, and Creekside. Plenty of other spots and sports on the First Coast to take advantage of. Don't miss out. Registration now open for summer and fall at I-9 Sports. Enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text Kettle to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text KETTLE to 321-321. That's Kettle to 321-321.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser share the huddle with Freddie T. Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins and Monahan Jewelers.
Fred Taylor, he's a candidate to go the distance.
On 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Since you got gone, I bet you think I'm still sitting here alone.
Taylor, does this song sound familiar?
It does.
This would be John Morgan, Friends Like That.
I like that.
And there's a reason we're playing it because, thank you, RJ, because he is coming to the Jax Beach Country Fest tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
That's right. It is a free event out at the Seawalk Pavilion. So excited to see him. This song I really liked even before he added Jason Aldean to accompany him. And then as soon as he did that, the song, of course, blew
got
up.
way more popular.
Yeah, and certainly, way more popular
What time
on
is he
country
playing?
radio. He plays at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and there are bands all leading up to it. Starts at 2 p.m. And then Tiger Lily Gold plays at 8 p.m. and that's the final band. But yeah, that's of all the different people playing, that's the one that I'm most looking forward to. They're at in Jax Beach at the Seawalk Pavilion. So cannot wait, and hope lots of people go out. Hopefully a beautiful day. We've gotten to the time of year where I no longer check the weather because I already know it's going to be around 90 degrees.
Yeah, it'll
and
probably
there's
rain
be a
at some
thunderstorm
point.
in the evening. And today I see around 25% chance later tonight. But
it's raining downtown area right now.
Okay, yeah. And then tomorrow is the same exact weather as every other day this time of year.
It's that time of year where if you look at just like your normal weather app, it just shows rain clouds every day until foreseeable future.
Some sort of thunderstorm will happen every single day in the afternoon, and it gets so hot and humid that it has to break, and so the clouds roll in. All right, time now for today's Terminix Pest of the Day. I always tell you how great the Terminix folks are, and that's because they are fantastic. If we have any issues, I contact them, and they immediately take care of the issues. They came out and sprayed our entire front yard and backyard to treat for mosquitoes, and certainly you don't want those. You don't want any pests of any sort. You don't want termites. You don't want cockroaches. They will take care of all of those issues just like they do for Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. If you want more information, find them online at Terminix.com. TERMINIX.com. Okay, Taylor. Olympic equestrian Heath Ryan was suspended after a video surfaced that showed him whipping his horse dozens of times. That's right. Around 40 times is what people saw in the video. He was hitting his horse. And so, of course, the horse who's around 2 years old, Nico, people wanted to protect him after they saw that on social media. And so the Equestrian Australia, the EA, launched a formal investigation into the dressage competitor. And hopefully that solves this behavior moving forward. I don't know if he'll be allowed around Nico for a period of time. Like I said, I know he's suspended right now. But I have friends that are obsessed with dressage in the Olympics. As far as the horse kind of like dancing and whatnot is the way I would describe it. But yeah, you can't do that, Heath. Don't do that. You're the pest of the day today for that reason.
Yeah, I feel bad enough watching like horse racing. I know they don't even mind running, but I'm still like, the poor horse, it's running so hard.
I know. You don't have to
whip him.
Yeah, don't hit him. But like you said, I understand why they do, and it encourages the horse to go faster. But either way, Heath Ryan is today's pest of the day. All right, back to our confidence level for each Jaguars position group. We've hit 1 through 6. I'll repeat both of our top 2, edge and wide receiver, and then I have running back at 3, quarterback at 4, cornerback at 5, linebacker at 6. Your top 4 after 1 and 2?
Edge, wide receiver, linebacker, running back, quarterback, cornerback.
Okay, perfect. All right, who's your 7? Which position?
My 7 is tight end.
Okay, I have that as well.
Oh,
excellent.
Look how similar we are. Usually we're very different on these things. I think that, number 1, I've said this also, I really like Brenton Strange. Big fan of Brenton Strange. The reason they're so low for me is I think he's only, to me, the true pass catcher in this group. And I know they did that intentionally. They wanted more blocking tight ends, and that is kind of some of the things that you've seen league-wide, other them adding like true blocking tight ends. But it just concerns me a little bit if something happens to Brenton Strange beyond that, what you can really expect out of your tight end in the passing game. So I do have concerns in that, but I am a big fan of Brenton Strange, and I think that if he stays healthy and he's out there, he's going to be a huge part of this offense. And so I think he can do everything in the tight end world. He's one of, to me, more of those true tight ends and different than what we've seen from Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was more of a wide receiver type guy. And so it's fun to have a guy that you feel like, this is the build of a tight end. He can do a little bit of everything. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, before when Brenton Strange was on the field, it felt like the Jags were telegraphing what they were going to do, especially if Evan Ingram is out there also, because Brenton Strange is blocking. So you're probably going to run the ball.
Yeah.
But I do think that Hunter Long and Johnny Munt could potentially be super helpful for this offensive line. It's just not as sexy when they're not catching passes. But I have seen Trevor Lawrence throw a pass to Johnny Munt a couple times, and he caught it and looked fine doing it. So they can do it for sure. I
can also catch a pass from Trevor Lawrence.
I don't know. It might break your fingers. He throws that ball so fast. But I do wonder about Quentin Morris, who the Jaguars signed after the draft, and then Patrick Herbert, one of the undrafted rookie free agents as tight end, Justin Herbert's little brother. I wonder if there's anything there. But yeah, I'm with you. I have tight end at 7 because I have a lot of faith in Britton Strange, but I'm just not sure about
beyond that.
Yeah, if something were to happen to him, exactly what you said. All right. So basically, if people are paying attention, there's one position group that we have not named whatsoever to this point. They finally enter my rankings. That would be the offensive line. The guards for me enter at number 8. But so basically that means the offensive line and also the defensive interior are 8 through 12, which is not ideal when you're talking about the trenches. But yeah, I've got guards at 8. I like the signing of Robert Hainsey. I'll put the center and guards all together. Or no, I won't. I take that back. Guards only. I'll get to center.
Okay.
Guards, I like the signing of Patrick McCarry as far as the right guard is concerned. I like the drafting of Wyatt Milam to push Ezra Cleveland there at left guard. And then I do think that there's depth as far as that position is concerned. So I'll put guards, offensive guards at 8.
Yeah, so I have defensive tackle at 8, and I think that there's hope there. I'm not letting myself fall for it again like I did last year on Hamilton to kind of go back to the Devon that you had seen previously, but it's been a bit since we've seen that Devon Hamilton, and I do think that sometimes they force him into a nose tackle role when I'm not sure he totally is, and I heard Tommy Mack talking about that a little while ago, and it really got me thinking about some of the things maybe they force him to do that he's not as comfortable doing, so he has to work a little extra harder to make some of those things happen, but I do think you've seen it. You've seen it from him a few years ago. So you're hoping that you get that Devon back. You're hoping Mason Smith takes a step up, continues to develop. You saw moments last year, especially in that pass rush interiorly from him. And so you hope that continues to develop. Eric Armstead back in the middle. And that's, to me, the most significant part of this is because I think that's somewhere you've seen him be very successful from the interior, obviously, his whole career with the 49ers. And then for whatever reason, they didn't do that last year. But he is a little deeper into his career. You haven't seen him have the seasons, even with the 49ers, that he was maybe 3-4 years ago. So it's a lot of hope to me in the interior defensive line. And I just remember, I go back to March when I was just yelling, give me like 7 new offensive and defensive linemen, please, because I want all of this to look so different. And they really didn't do anything much at all on the defensive side of the ball. So it's a little low for me, but it is ahead of any of the offensive line positions.
Yeah, you still have not named offensive line yet. I'm certainly not that surprised by that. All right, we've got a U.S. Open update waiting for you, and then we will finish our power rankings of these position groups on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Lee and Kate's Glass, Friday on Helmets and Heels. This U.S. Open update on 1010XL is brought to you by TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 125th U.S. Open Golf Championship. Overnight leader J.J. Spawn has just begun his second round at Oakmont Country Club. Bogey-free 66 on Thursday, made a par at the first today. He's 4 under. Tristan Lawrence of South Africa, 3 under after a 67 yesterday and still an hour away from his tee time. Sam Burns at -3 after making this long par save at his final hole.
Gets this thing started from the center of the green, up the ridge, starting to break back. It looks like it's trickling. Maybe he has a chance. He finds the bottom. That is a 5 under par round for Sam Burns, and he remains at 3 under for the championship, just currently 1 back.
Andre Gonzalez with the call on Sirius XM, 65 for Burns, the best score of the week, and his best ever at a U.S. Open. With this U.S. Open report, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
how to deal with a cracked windshield. So next time, go to a local company to get your windshield repaired for free at Novus Glass. And now, Novus Glass is the only place in Jacksonville where you can get Turbo Tint. Turbo Tint looks amazing, and also it will keep your ride cool and comfortable during this summer heat. Turbo Tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays, so all of us down here in the Sunshine State need Turbo Tint, and Novus Glass is the only place you can get it. Book today at orangepark.turbotint.com. That's orangepark.turbotint.com.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just ask your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
Hey, John, have you seen the exciting 2025 lineup at Randy Marion Cadillac?
They've got the Lyric, IQ, Optique, and the stunning Vistique. It's a Cadillac lover's dream.
And the best part, over 100 new Cadillacs are in stock and ready for you to drive home today.
Plus, it's the perfect time to trade in your Tesla and experience luxury and performance like never before.
Visit us today at Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
Don't miss out on these incredible vehicles. Your new Cadillac awaits.
Tell them Jennifer sent ya.
It's graduation season, a time to celebrate the end of an era and the beginning of a whole new story. At Diamonds Direct, we believe moments like these deserve to be remembered beautifully. Honor your graduate with a timeless gift, a birthstone ring, a classic pendant, diamond studs, or an heirloom piece they'll treasure forever. No pressure, all sparkle, and expert guidance every step of the way. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Ready to add some value to your day? The everyday deals at Sonny's have got you covered. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, all you can eat ribs for $19.99, and our new loaded barbecue potato for $11. Available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
You can't go inside your home team's locker room, so Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline goes there for you.
Work on three, work on three, 1, 2, 3, fire! Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010XL.com.
Brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Prosser here. Get those boats ready. The Dailies Old School Kingfish Shootout, presented by Yellowfin, is almost here. It's Saturday, June 14th. Just go to oldschoolkingfish.com to find out more. The grand prize is a Yellowfin bay boat worth $125,000, and with limited boundaries, no bait buying, and no checkout, it is seriously old school. Here's how you do it. You go online, you sign up, and you become part of what was always a terrific tournament. It's the Old School Kingfish Shootout. oldschoolkingfish.com.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner with honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Well, it's College World Series time, so you know what else that means. It's Jell-O shot time.
That's right.
Over there. So I saw the recent the rankings right now. LSU baseball leads. They have 525 Jell-O shots that they've had at Rocco's.
Mind you, it hasn't started yet. The first game today is at 2
so
p.m.
this is just their pregame.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina takes on Arizona at 2, and then tonight Oregon State, Louisville at 7, and then tomorrow UCLA, Murray State at 2, and then finally Arkansas, LSU tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Yes. So LSU with 525 already, and the games haven't even started. My guys at Murray State in second place with 385.
Here we go, racers.
Let's go.
They're racing LSU when it comes to the Jell-O shots.
I love it. Just behind that, Louisville with 298, Coastal Carolina 277, Arkansas 235. We're getting some struggles from the other ones, though. Oregon State only has 69, Arizona has 55, and UCLA only 39.
Well, maybe some of them are trying to be responsible. Yeah, it feels like if LSU goes deep in this tournament, they will win hands
All of
down.
it.
Yeah, not just the tournament, but also the Jell-O Shot Challenge. Last night, while you were probably watching hockey, I was watching the track and field, the NCAA.
Oh, I saw
meet.
your tweet.
Yes, Mila Colby, she advanced from her heat in the women's 800-meter semifinals. We weren't sure because she wasn't in the top 2 in the heat, but she did get an at-large qualifying spot because she did run a fast enough time at a little over 2 minutes. And so tune in Saturday night. Again, it's 10:15 Eastern, but that means around 7:15 Pacific time since they're out in Eugene, Oregon. And she will be in the finals there out in, like I said, Oregon. And it's so exciting because we've had her on the show. We've talked about her certainly several times. And if she does finish in the top 8 in the final race, she will clinch first-team All-American honors for the second time this collegiate track and field season. So we are rooting for her. Certainly, there are some really fast girls that were in different heats last night. But yeah, so fun to watch, like cheering for someone from Jacksonville out there on the biggest stage.
Yeah, I was watching hockey. That was a wild game. And if you wonder why I keep saying I think it's going to a Game 7, that is exactly why.
Yeah, the fact that the Oilers are able to come back from down 3-0 to the Panthers in Florida and then win in overtime 5-4. And that guy that I didn't know anything about, Leon Draisaitl, was the one with that.
Draisaitl. He's the other. I've said a few times, like the 2 best hockey players, and he's one of them.
Connor
it's
McDavid
and yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, puck drops. They were back in Edmonton. Talk about a lot of travel.
Oh, my goodness.
For their
That's
series.
his 4th overtime goal this postseason.
That's insane.
Second in the series. Yeah, it's just, you got to be careful. And that goal, honestly, wasn't even like a good shot.
Yeah.
It just kind of got a little lucky. But sometimes that's what you need in hockey.
Sure,
and
if the puck
especially
gets
in
lost,
overtime.
Absolutely.
Then you win.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. And then tonight, of course, we have the Thunder and the Pacers. The Pacers are up 2-1, so it feels like a must-win game for Oklahoma City, but certainly we will find out who wins in Indiana. All right, we got to get back to our Jaguars, our confidence level for each position group. Certainly, I'm sure the fans feel differently than we do, Taylor, to this point, but rattling through 9 through 12. So again, we started with edge and receiver being the 2 position groups that we have the most confidence in. Now we're at the bottom. So I will go through my 9 through 12, see how different yours are, but I've got safeties at 9. I like some of the different guys in the safety room. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know who the starters are going to be. And so because I'm still unsure of that, I didn't want to put them a little bit higher.
Yeah.
They certainly brought in Eric Murray in free agency, and he's a guy who's a smart veteran football player, but he has been in the league for 10 years. And so I want to see what he can do as far as if he's going to be one of the starters. Now that he's, a little longer in the tooth, you've got certainly Caleb Bransall, who the Jaguars drafted. He played corner at Tulane, but he's going to switch to safety, is what it seems like. Certainly that's what he's been playing to this point through OTAs and minicamp. You've got an Andrew Wingard. You've got a Daniel Thomas. And so I just don't know how it's all going to shake out. And so because I'm not 100% sure, I've got the safeties at 9. I have center at 10 because Robert Hainsey, while he was beaten out last year, with the Bucs, I still do have faith in him, but I'm not quite sure that I love what's behind him. If something happens to Robert Hainsey, you've got only Luke Fortner there is what it feels like. Yes, they drafted Jonah Monheim in the 7th round, but I haven't seen enough of him to say I'm confident in him. I've got the defensive tackles at 11, and the reason why, to your point earlier about Devon Hamilton, I like Mason Smith. I like Eric Armstead now, and I think those guys will be good, and I think there's a little bit of depth behind them. But if Devon Hamilton can't return to his form from a few years ago after the illness, then I'm just not sure that they have enough guys there to be able to stop the run. And you have to have big bodies in order to do that, and big bodies that can push people around. And we haven't seen enough of that, in my opinion. And so that leaves, for me, offensive tackles at number 12. Before OTAs and minicamp, I would have had offensive tackle much higher on this list. The reason it's last on my list now is because I'm not so sure what to make of Anton Harrison to this point. And while, yes, there's going to be a good competition there between he and Chuma Edoga, I don't know how much of a competition with Walker Little and Fred Johnson, and I like Fred Johnson and his size. But Anton Harrison, to this point, I thought would be a solidified starter. And because he's not, I'm just a little more shaken for me with the offensive tackles. And we still haven't seen Walker Little beat anybody out, so he certainly still has to do that. But, yeah, I'm just not as sure about those groups.
Yeah, my 9 through 12 is pretty much the offensive line and the safeties, and it goes in this order. I have offensive guards at 9 for me. I think that because I have seen Ezra Cleveland and I've seen Ezra Cleveland be successful, that gives me a little bit of leeway and I guess a little bit of hope that they can at least be able, his veteran leadership will be able to help that group a little bit. Obviously, they're very low on my list, so I'm not high on them as a group as a whole. I think that I would have liked to see a lot different things done with the offensive line. I can't say more because they did add several pieces. I just don't really love the pieces that they have added. I don't hate Patrick McCarry. I think we saw some good things from Patrick McCarry in his career, so I am fascinated to see what that looks like and continue to kind of develop and get some cohesiveness here with some of these guys. So I do have the guards there at number 9. At 10, I have safeties, and I think that I said earlier when I went to that camp that I was impressed by a lot of the things that I saw from the safeties, and so I would have probably put them last if it wasn't for the other day, because I do think I saw some good plays being made from several of the guys, but I just personally still have concerns with that group. I'm not a big fan of Eric Murray. I think that Darnell Savage is good, not great. Antonio Johnson, again, we had the conversation yesterday where you keep hoping that, like, this is the year you really see Antonio Johnson break through, and we just haven't seen that yet. I'm excited for Caleb Bransall, but he is playing a different position. So how quickly does that happen? How comfortable is he there? Most people already kind of projected him being a safety, so that part isn't a surprise, but you still are learning a different position and at a different level. So I definitely have concerns with that safety room still, but they're number 10 for me. 11 is the center. I think that, similar to what you were saying, Hainsey was benched by a young guy. I think there are still concerns there. And to me, when you look at the the center rankings within the NFL, it's just, he doesn't sit in either category where you would really want your center to sit. I also just think because of all of the newness in the interior, I'm not sure how quickly all of those will mesh. So my entire interior offensive line, I'm a little concerned about in general, the whole offensive line, let's be honest. But I think that they could prove to me very quickly, like camp could come or early on in the season, and these guys are kind of clicking a little faster than I think maybe they should. And maybe Robert Hainsey uses that as some motivation, that he was benched and now he got kind of shipped off to a new spot. Liam Cohen bringing him here obviously saw something that he liked enough. My next behind that, and so my final one, I guess it is going to be offensive tackle. I think that
we both have offensive tackle last.
Yeah, Anton, it worries me. I think that we saw a big dip from Anton last year, and you and I were having this conversation off air yesterday of why did he play better with an injury 2 years ago than he did last year in his second year where you should be more comfortable. You're not playing with that injury, that your shoulder injury that was kind of lingering. There's just some issues, and I feel like there's a little bit of a concern for me. And then on the other side, Walker Little, I think you've seen some good things from Walker Little, but I also think that this is the first time he's really going to hone in of I am the left tackle. And what does that look like? Fred Johnson, I know we kind of like Pete Prisco said he had Fred Johnson starting. Fred Johnson allowed the 5th most sacks last year. He allowed 8 sacks. No, I don't want Fred Johnson starting. If Fred Johnson's starting on this offensive line, then we probably have a bigger issue than I thought we did. So in general, my 3 worst position groups are the offensive linemen. So that's fun, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I think Pete Prisco, Mark Long have said about Fred Johnson potentially starting because I think they're trying to light a fire under Walker Little, just like all of these guys. All right, let's say hello to Matt Hayes.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Matt, would you agree with us that the position groups you're most confident in for the Jaguars would be edge and wide receiver? The positions you're least confident in would be offensive tackle.
Most confident?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm confident in any of them, actually.
Well, if you had to rank
them most to least.
Starting edge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ending with?
I think linebacker, actually.
You don't like the linebackers?
No,
I'm
like
starting with the linebackers. Yeah, linebacker was high on mine, too.
Yeah.
And then
you want to know who my least?
Least confident?
Well, it's offensive line top
all
5.
Of it.
All of it.
That's what
Every
I
position
said.
on the line, 5. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be. We've watched this thing unfold the last 2 years. We all know what it is.
Yeah, they've got a lot of new pieces on the offensive line now.
But they actually don't. They have 3 of the same guys from the last 2 years.
That is true.
One guy couldn't
Walker Little,
one
Ezra,
guy couldn't get a
and
job.
Anton.
The other guy's been up and down, right?
You're
And the
assuming
other guy
Ezra
didn't play
Cleveland
well last
starts.
year.
Yeah. If Wyatt Milam starts, then they're 3 out of 5 are
Correct.
different.
We'll see. Right. We'll see what happens when the pads go on, and then everything changes. I agree completely.
Yeah, I think they're bringing the rookies along a little slower, so don't be surprised if you haven't seen some of those guys starting, of course, outside of Travis Hunter. What are y'all getting into today?
Father's Day.
I love it. Happy Father's Day to you, by the way.
Thank you, by the way. And the Father's Day, Leon's got a little gripe. It's almost like his Father's Day Festivus.
Oh, okay.
Because Father's Day, according to, Leon's got his AI going on, which we call LI. And he looks on his AI, and it's Father's Day apparently is ranked like 15th of the
holidays.
Of the holidays or something like that.
Well, it's not like we have a day off for Mother's Day or Father's Day. Yeah. Why don't we have days
Mother's
off?
Day is like 3rd behind Christmas. I think it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day. Yeah.
No, Easter's by far ahead of
it's not.
that. And Halloween's ahead of that.
Halloween, personally. I'd put 4th of July.
Yeah, 4th of July, Labor Day.
Yeah.
No offense to the moms out there. I mean, as far as like what the country, I feel like takes time to appreciate.
That's interesting.
But yeah. All right.
Poor dads.
We're going to get into it, trust me.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt.
And the Jags and some college football. Thanks, Lee.
Love it. We will be listening, and certainly happy Father's Day out there to all the dads. We'll be spending Father's Day with my dad, and I always appreciate how much he got me into sports when I was younger.
And happy Friday the 13th.
13th. And yes,
it's Jason Voorhees' birthday today.
There you have it. All right, for the vacationing Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Monday, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime, talking all things football and golf.